So good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are joining us. Thank you for taking time out today for the Take Your Security to the Next Level with Lightning Login Salesforce Admins webinar. It is almost Dreamforce time. We are getting right around. So with that, of course, it wouldn't be a Salesforce Admins webinar without the forward-looking statements, which is just a quick reminder that Salesforce is a publicly traded company, so please make all of your purchasing decisions based on current features and functionality, and we appreciate it. Today, I am excited to be joined by our security awesome team. So joining me today, Alexa Stout, product manager at Salesforce, who gets to work with Laura Pelkey, security content and communications at Salesforce. My name is Mike Garrell, Director of Admin Evangelist at Salesforce. You can find us all on Twitter and make that your treasure hunt for this webinar today. And speaking of being social, we are social on Twitter as well. So if you're a big fan of lots of awesome tweets with GIFs, at Salesforce Admins No I is the Twitter handle you should be following, and connect with other awesome admins on Twitter as well using the hashtag AwesomeAdmin. On Facebook, our page is Salesforce Admins. We make it super easy. We even add the I. And on LinkedIn, Salesforce Admins as well. YouTube is where you can find a lot of amazing videos, including previous webinars in case you have missed them. Which reminds me that this webinar is also being recorded. So, in case you missed the amazing intro that we had, or any parts that you want to go back and listen to, you can do that. Video will be posted to our YouTube page, which is Salesforce Admins, and our webinar recap page, which is the page you use to register for this. You can find that page very fast at bit.ly/lightninglogin-webinar, and it looks like the one off to the right, kind of, except it won't have the formulas part to it. Of course, we know you're probably going to have questions, and we have our experts standing by to help with those questions. So let's make questions and answers super easy for this webinar by going to Salesforce Admins webinar on the Salesforce Success community. You can jump in if you're logged in and just type in Salesforce Admins webinar into the search, or bit.ly/admin webinar group. You don't have to wait to the end to ask your question. You can jump in and ask it, but do please take a second, because we often get a lot of questions, and scan through what's been asked so that you're not asking the same question twice. Do stick around for the very end of the webinar. We'll be doing a live Q&A based on your questions posted in that group for Laura and Alexa. So with that, I believe I'm going to turn over the agenda to Alexa. Alexa?
Thank you, Mike, and thanks to everyone who's joined and listening in. Today we're going to talk about an exciting feature called Lightning Login, which allows you to log in password-free. And I'll also do a quick demo. We'll then hear from Laura, who will give an update on security features in the latest releases, and then we'll go through some helpful resources so that you can learn more about the tools and features that we discussed today. And of course, as Mike just mentioned, we will then take some questions. So let's jump right in. Lightning Login, what is it? So Lightning Login, as I said, is a password-free login feature that makes logging in a click and a tap. And yeah, it sounds super convenient, right? But it also increases security. And we do that through the power of Salesforce Authenticator. It's a free mobile app available on iPhone and Android. And again, your login becomes a click of your username and a tap on your phone. So instead of typing in your password, your login is verified through your phone on the Authenticator app. And because your login is being authenticated in a separate channel, so separate from the browser, using Lightning Login is more secure than using your password. And we'll get into a little bit more of that with the demo and further on in the presentation. And of course, since we're adding greater security to your login, this adds greater security to your org and to your customer data. Great. This feature sounds awesome. How do you set it up? So I will show you how we go through this process in the demo. Pretty simple, but let's walk through the steps. So first, you want to download the Salesforce Authenticator app. It's free in Google Play and in the App Store. And the steps that I'm going through right now are the same for both a sysadmin or a standard user, which is awesome. You don't have to worry about doing something different for yourself and explaining something different to your users. So after you've downloaded the app, which is different from Salesforce One, so you want to make sure that that's clear to your users. I had an admin friend tell me that she had to reiterate that a few times once she rolled it out. And once that's done, you'll enroll via settings in the advanced user details as shown in the screenshot here. And once you click enroll, the browser will walk you through connecting your account to Authenticator. Even better, like I was saying, Lightning Login makes logging in just a click and a tap. You'll be able to save your username. So all you have to do, click on your username, tap when the Authenticator app sends you a notification, and you're in. Logging in with Lightning Login is that simple. Okay, so I've talked about how awesome and easy it is. Let's see it in action.
All right, so I'm here on my login page, and this is just a developer edition org that I spun up. Here I've also got my phone screencasted so that you can see what happens in Authenticator in real time. All I have to do is click on my username. Authenticator sends me a notification. I've got all the details of the request. This looks good. I tap approve. And here I'm prompted to scan my fingerprint because this is a two-factor authentication required user. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But I've got additional security for this user. I scan my fingerprint and I'm in. I didn't have to type my username, didn't have to type my password. So easy, so convenient, yet really secure. So that is what it looked like for a sysadmin to log in. It would look exactly the same for any other two-factor authentication user, but I want to show you what it looks like for a standard user to set it up. And for user setup, this is not a tool that an admin can set up for their users. This has to be done on a user-by-user basis. So here's a standard user logging in, username and password. Hope I remembered it. Awesome. I'll come over here to Settings, Advanced User Details, and I can kick off the enrollment process right here. So again, just a few clicks to kick off the Lightning Login enrollment. And of course, I already have the Salesforce Authenticator app downloaded from the App Store. So I'll click Enroll. Here I'm prompted to register for identity verification. So depending on the security settings of your org now, you may or may not be prompted for this, but my security settings require it. So in this case, I will provide my login credentials again, just to verify that it really is me logging in. Cool, and now that those have been verified, the browser prompts me to get a two-word phrase from the Authenticator app. The steps here detail exactly what the user needs to do, so you don't have to worry about reiterating these to your users. So I'll tap the New Account button, and this generates a unique two-word phrase. Every time you tap New Account, you get a new phrase. I typed in the phrase, I click Connect, boom. Authenticator asks me to confirm. I'll connect. So I've connected Authenticator, and now I'm going to approve the Lightning Login enrollment. All the details of the request can be seen here. Tap Approve. Done. Okay. Now, Salesforce is letting me know that I also have the option to save my username. So all I have to do is click my username, tap from the Authenticator app, and I'm logged in. No more typing usernames and passwords for everyday logins. So you'll also see that there are code generators assigned to each account, and these are great in the case that you're on an airplane and you don't have connectivity to your phone. These codes sync at the time of connection, so even if your phone has no connectivity, you can still use the code to log in. So I'll log out and we'll see how a user saves their username. Now this is the thing you have to remember. You don't want to type in your password because now you're using Lightning Login. So leave it blank, select the Remember Me box if you're on the computer that you use every day. You wouldn't want to do this on a public computer. So I'll log in. Authenticator sends me the notification. Tap. Done. So I've clicked, tapped, and I'm in. So easy. Now let's get back to the presentation so I can tell you a little bit more about Lightning Login with two-factor authentication.
So if you're already familiar with Salesforce Authenticator, you're probably using it for two-factor authentication, and it's a lot of syllables there, but it just means that you're adding an extra layer of security beyond the username and password. And as you can see in this screenshot, I got a login request and a Touch ID request from Authenticator, and this is what the Lightning Login experience looks like if you have two-factor authentication required of your users. So that's a really cool way to boost the security of your org, and if you haven't heard of two-factor authentication before, or you haven't heard of it with Salesforce, we'll have some resources at the end so that you can learn even more. And now I'm going to turn it over to Laura with more security updates from the recent releases.
Thanks, Alexa, and thank you for that awesome demo. I love how easy Lightning Login is. It saves so much time. So before we let you guys go, we wanted to share a couple new security updates that are going to make your lives so much easier. The first update I'm going to talk about is Security Health Check. And a quick refresher, if you're not familiar with Health Check, Health Check is an amazing free tool that's available to all admins that allows you to manage all of your org's most important security settings in one place. And there's a little screenshot included in this slide to help you kind of visualize what that looks like. So what's new for Health Check is that instead of using the standard baseline set by Salesforce to measure how secure you are, which is where that % number comes from in the screenshot, you can now upload custom baselines based on your company's individual security needs. So this is huge. An example that you might want to use this for is if you have specific security compliance regulations to meet, you can now measure your org security settings against those custom baselines, which is huge. So the next update I wanted to talk about is embedded login. One way that Salesforce is increasing security within our identity product is by helping our customers ensure brand consistency for the people visiting their sites. Embedded login is a new feature within the Salesforce Identity for Customers and Partners product that allows you to programmatically customize login and registration pages beyond what's already available in communities. So we're seeing a lot of our customers using this in really cool ways to align their login pages with their company's branding. And we know branding consistency is really important because it helps ensure trust between you and your customers. So with embedded login, you can alter how username and password fields look and where everything is located on the login page, which gives you a really great experience for your customers. And it'll make maintaining your brand so much easier. So ask your web developers to add it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Laura. Those tools are really amazing. And like I mentioned earlier, we have some resources here for you. So please check out the Protect Your Salesforce data trail. That'll help you learn about security in an even broader sense than we talked about today. The developer blog has a how to set up embedded login page to learn more about that tool and set it up. Some really helpful videos are the Lightning Login overview video, and if you want to learn more about two-factor authentication, which I highly encourage, check out set up a two-factor authentication requirement.
Great, thanks, Alexa. So looks like we'll have a little extra time for questions on this webinar. So just a reminder, and I see the questions coming in, bit.ly/admin webinar group is the easiest way to find a place to have the questions. We'll have a survey after this, bit.ly/AW survey -lightning login, and of course the slides will also be posted to the lightning login webinar link show up on the screen to make that easy. So I will get started off. Lexa, you know, I actually had this while I was on a trip the other day because I have a work phone and I have a home phone. What if a user's forgotten their phone?
Yeah, so a really great option that we have, and I might be able to just show this quickly here. Oh, we're talking about if a user has forgotten their phone. Obviously, if I refer to the app, that won't be helpful. So if a user has forgotten their phone, they can contact their Salesforce admin, and the admin can generate a temporary token for them. And they can set the token to last anywhere from 1 hour to 24 hours before it expires. So even if a user forgets their phone, they still have options as far as logging in goes.
Oh, good. So then I'm assuming kind of that same would apply if a user's on a plane?
Yes, but even better, they won't have to worry about contacting their Salesforce admin. That could get a little tricky from up in the air. In the Authenticator app, each account has a code generator associated with it, and that code generator syncs at the time of connection. So it works even if the phone is in airplane mode, has no cell service, no connectivity whatsoever. When a user is logging in, either using Lightning Login or Salesforce Authenticator, there's a link on that page, and it allows you to choose a different method of login from which you can choose code generator, enter in that code, and you're done. No worries if your phone doesn't have connectivity.
Oh, cool. So you're not off the hook yet, Alexa. Can we kind of just talk through, I know admins live in setup a lot, and I think, you know, like it's super quick to do the Lightning login. Can we kind of just talk through maybe what it is to set up Lightning login for an admin?
Yeah, so for an admin to log in and set up Lightning Login, you can go through settings and advanced user details, or through setup you can click on a user and only your own user. So I should actually mention this first, that if an admin's setting it up for themselves, great. If they want to set it up for another user, that's actually not possible. Each user is responsible for setting it up for themselves because you're connecting your own mobile device. And again, all you have to do is click Enroll from the advanced user details and make sure that you have the free Salesforce Authenticator app downloaded to complete that setup process. And I don't believe I mentioned this. This entire feature, all the tools involved are included with Salesforce. So probably not your phone or your computer or your Wi-Fi, but if you're using Salesforce, this tool is available to you today.
Yeah. Laura, we talked about health check. Can you help me understand where do I go to find that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's actually it takes a few steps to get there. So click on Setup when you're logged into your org. Go to the search bar, which in Lightning is on the left-hand side, and then type in health check, and you should see it pop up. And click on it there, and that'll open it up for you.
That makes it very easy. I think one of the questions, so I think Lightning Login's very cool. Can you tell me, like, which is better, Lightning Login or SSO?
Yeah, so they're actually, they have different functions. Single sign-on allows you to minimize the number of credentials that your users have to use, which is a security add because you're not having all of these other credentials floating around. It's just one username and password. Lightning Login can complement that, of course, if Salesforce Identity happens to be the IDP in that situation. But again, two-factor authentication and single sign-on are great features you can use together, but they do have different functions.
So let's talk about if an org has to renew their password every 3 months. Would they have to re-authenticate every time the password is updated?
So you wouldn't necessarily need to re-authenticate. You reset the password, but if the browser recognizes your username, then Lightning Login should work as expected. Yeah, that's just a routine password reset. Then you should be able to log in as usual.
Okay. And then one of the things we didn't talk about, but I know I had it at my last company, is IP restrictions. So can we kind of dive into that a little bit, because we've got some extra time? Like, if my org has some IP restrictions, will this work outside of that?
So in session settings, you can decide whether you want certain features of Authenticator and Lightning Login to work within IP ranges, and I believe it's actually more specific to Authenticator's core features. And I'd like to dig into it a little bit more, so let me get some more information. And if this is posted in the community, I can easily reply to that and give a full response there.
Great, and it was, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Of course, we still have some admins who are available and using Classic. I'm guessing this is available also in Classic.
It is, yes. Lightning Login is also available in Classic.
Great, I like that. So we covered logins, we covered health check. And Laura, you talked about that. That was good. We don't have to pay for Lightning Login, so if we're not using it, we're kind of leaving some features on the table. And we talked about Lightning versus SSO, as well as renewing passwords every 3 months, which is great. And of course, IP restrictions, which can be fun to work with. Is there any other questions in your demos that you've given or concerns that maybe admins have that you could give them in advance?
Yeah, so I did mention that you want to make sure it's clear to your users that Salesforce Authenticator is a separate app from Salesforce One, but also still free in the App Store and Google Play. And another question I've gotten as far as Authenticator and Lightning Login goes, if you're familiar with Authenticator, you know that using location services, you can automate your logins and locations that you trust. However, with Lightning Login, automation is not available because we need that second touch point on the phone, that tap of the approve, because we're not using the password. So we need that second step of verification to be manual. We need to know that the user is there and it's actually them logging in. So that's one caveat of the Lightning Login feature used with Authenticator, that it's good for admins to be aware of.
Oh, that's good. I know in your demo you were just using a DE org, and I'm trying to think of, so I'm an admin on this webinar and I have to go back and show my users this. You know, we always talk about not doing anything in production. So can we talk about like maybe the best way to demo this? Should I do it in a sandbox? Should I do it in DE org? And then if I do it in a sandbox, you know, does this replicate to sandboxes?
Yes, so you could demo this in a sandbox or in a DE org, absolutely, and it is it's very smart to do this outside of production. And I personally enjoy demoing in DE orgs because it's very easy to set up. You go to developer.salesforce.com, sign up for a free DE org, and you have a fresh new org where you can play with different settings and demo different features. So that's a great way for an admin to demo this to their users.
Awesome. So let's talk about what is the standard versus high assurance security level for Lightning Login. I don't think we touched on that.
No, we didn't talk about high assurance versus non-high assurance sessions. So if you are in session settings and you can actually decide what items, what sorts of authentication or what actions you want to fall under high assurance. And Lightning Login is one way to create a high assurance session, just the same way that any two-factor authentication method can authenticate a high assurance session.
And can you, because I don't know what a high assurance session means, say what that means?
Yeah. So a high assurance session just means that you've gone a step beyond the username and password login. And this can happen either at login, or you can require a high assurance session, say if a user is accessing or trying to export a certain report. So certain actions can require a high assurance session, and that would challenge the user or push to the user a two-factor authentication request, a Lightning Login request, whatever two-factor authentication method you're using.
Cool. So just a quick reminder, if you have additional questions, post them to the Salesforce Admins webinar chatter group, and Laura or Alexa will jump in and give some great answers. We do have a survey available. It's been up on the screen. And we'll post these slides to the Lightning Login webinar, both everywhere and at the bit.ly. So with that, I want to thank you all for taking time out of your day and joining us on the Salesforce Admins webinar.